I am Batman. I mean, Average Sniper.
What's up, guys? Average Sniper here, and today I have some general tips for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds to help you get that first place win that you've been going for. So the very first thing you want to consider is where are you going to land. So let me show you some of my favorite places to go on the map that I consider medium risk, and I'll quickly go over some other places too. First off, I'm going to show you Razak. This is a fairly small city, and it has, medium loot. You're almost guaranteed to find a good gun and some good armor there. Probably not level 3 stuff, but definitely level 1 or 2. This is a great place to start, and you'll pretty much guaranteed to get into a gunfight because other people land here, but it's not going to be an insane gunfight like landing somewhere crazy like the military base or the school right below Razak. These two places, the military base and the school, I'm going to put X's over unless you're looking for a huge gunfight to get into. I would not recommend going there. Alright, some other places I love to go, depending on where the plane is coming in, is Gatka. That's a great place. The ferry pier down here, that's a great place. This city is a great place, but usually when you go here, it's because the plane has flown right over it and a lot of people are going to jump out. If the plane's taking an approach kind of like in between Gatka and Primorsk, then go ahead and jump out, fly to one or the other, and you'll probably get into a gunfight with some other people, but it's not going to be crazy. You have to be ready for the gunfights. Pochinki is a very busy city, depending on where the plane flies. If the plane flies directly over Pochinki, then expect 1 million people to jump out. Pochinki has good loot, but some parts of Pochinki have bad loot. So this is a major gamble. So I'm going to put an X over Pochinki for now. Alright, the farm is good, but I'm going to consider the farm a low risk, low reward because not many people land there and the loot is not that good. But it is one of my favorite places to land. I don't know why, I just feel comfortable landing there, so I circled that. This little place down here is a great place to land. It has medium loot. I definitely recommend that. Milta is a great place to land. Unless the plane flies directly over it, you're not going to have, that many people that are going to want to challenge you. The prison is a great place to land. Again, as long as the plane doesn't fly directly over it, you're going to find very good loot here. But it is also kind of high risk. So instead of putting an X, I'm just going to put a slash through it. Like, maybe you won't have to fight that many people. Maybe you will. The mansion right here is a great place to get loot. But once again, I'm going to put a single slash through it because if the plane flies directly over it, a whole bunch of people are going to jump. Yasnaya is a great city to find loot, even if the plane flies directly over it. It's so big that if you don't want to get into a gunfight or if you don't have good enough gear, you do not have to. So I'm going to circle that and leave that just circled as a great place for medium to high loot with a low risk. Alright, now moving on, we have Kameshki up here. This is a medium risk place. Not that many people go here unless the plane flies directly over it, so that's good. Stalber is a good place to find loot, but I'm going to put a slash through it because if you, for some reason, don't find good loot, there's not going to be many places you can fall back to. It's kind of isolated out there. Severny is a great place to find loot. Pretty medium risk. Not that many people land there unless the plane goes directly over it. This area right here, definitely medium risk. I'd never see a lot of people go there, but you will definitely run into another squad or a couple other duos, but it's not going to be insane. So we'll leave that circled. Georgia Pool, definitely a high risk right here. Lots of people like to land here because there's good loot and it's an open area for a gunfight. It reminds me of a Call of Duty map right there. So we'll put a single slash through it because maybe, maybe not. This area right here, definitely medium risk. Not that many people land there. The hospital, lots of people like to land there, so we'll put a single slash through that. It's a good place to land unless the plane flies directly over it. And then all these other places around here are going to be very, very low risk, low reward. So you probably don't want to land there unless, you're looking to just survive and not get into any gunfights at all. Let's go over just a couple more. Zarki, that's a good medium place. Right here, I call this Water World. That's a good medium place. Got some buildings that are flooded that have some pretty decent medium loot in them. Milta Power is a good place to find loot as long as the plane doesn't fly directly over it. And this area right here, this whole area, I would consider medium loot. I usually can find some good assault rifles all over the place here, and the enemies are pretty spread out, so it's highly unlikely that you'll just get surprised, you know, by a gunfight like you would in the city. And right down here, we're going to call this a kind of a high-risk area, depending on where the plane flies. So I hope this helps you guys figure out where to land based on where the plane is coming in. In this particular gameplay, I am going to be landing at Razak. Now this next tip might seem kind of minimal, but this is actually very important. Don't jump out of the plane until you're directly over or as close as possible to the place you want to land. Fall as fast as you can once you get over your target. Reach terminal velocity, which is 234 kilometers per hour, and when your parachute pulls, you will be pushed closer to the ground than other players who have not reached terminal velocity, which will give you a much better chance of finding the loot first and winning the very first gunfight. Now, as soon as your feet touch the ground, run into the closest building or the building that you aimed for and try to find a gun. I think finding a gun first is the most important thing in case someone attacks you. After you find a weapon, you need to find a helmet, you need to find body armor, you need to find a backpack, and you need to find medical supplies as well as bullets for the gun that you have. I recommend that you carry at all times a long-range weapon and a close-range weapon. An example of a long-range weapon would be a sniper rifle and an assault rifle with the proper scope. An example of a close-range weapon would be a shotgun, a micro Uzi, or a submachine gun. Pistols work too, but those three weapons that I just named work much better for close-range combat. The shotguns can one-shot kill almost anyone if you get a headshot or a close-range shot, even if they're wearing, you know, body armor. If you're close enough, you can one-shot them to the chest. The micro Uzi is really powerful if you have the right attachments on it. Like I said, up very close. And the other SMGs like the UMP9 and the Vector are also very powerful up close and work great in gunfights where you're right at a building. Now, one of my most common loadouts is an assault rifle and a sniper rifle, because the assault rifle can work just as good at close range as some of the other weapons if you're on the full auto mode. Now that you have your basic supplies, you want to continue looting to find more bullets, better armor, better helmets, and more medical supplies. You want to be ready for that fight. You have different classes of loot in this game. You have level 1, which is basic, level 2, which is medium, and level 3, which is elite. Level 3 gear is definitely what you want, but it's rare. Level 2 is what I aim for, unless of course I end up finding a level 3, then obviously I pick that up. Now that you have everything that you need, what do? Well, you want to take care of any immediate threats in your area. So just chill out, get close to your teammate if you're playing with a teammate, and just kind of assess the situation, see if you hear any movement or any gunshots, and take out any threats that are close to you. Avoidance is also an option, but I don't like to avoid enemy players that much unless I don't have the right loot to challenge them. The reason for this is that these players, if you let them live, could be a problem for you later in the game. Also, they might have loot that you need. Sometimes the best way to loot is to kill other players and take the loot that they have, because they have done all the work for you then. Now that you have good loot, a couple kills, and there's no more threats around you, you need to get to the safe zone. Now if you're already in the safe zone, you can just chill, or you can move to the next area, continue looting, and taking out threats. Most likely, you're probably not going to be in the safe zone and you're going to need to move. So guess what? It is time to find a vehicle. You can find vehicles next to roads or in garages. So if you're ever in a spot where you're so far away from the zone you can't run there, just look for a garage if you're in a city to find a vehicle, or keep running along the side of the road until you find one. Vehicles always spawn on the side of major roads and minor roads, even dirt roads. You can find vehicles spawning there. Once you have your vehicle, drive to the safe zone as fast as possible and mark a location on your map so that you have a plan. Don't just drive around aimlessly. Make sure you have a plan, you have a building, or you have a landmark or a special place that you have picked that's going to work good for your cover. Now, it is very possible that you might get into a bad situation while driving to your destination, where you'll have to make a split-second decision about running away from the gunfight if you don't have the advantage, or engaging the enemy. So here is an example of some guys that were shooting us while we were driving to the safe zone, and we decided to engage them and take them out. So what you just saw was a split-second decision we made to engage the enemy. We felt we had the upper hand because we could roadkill them, or at least one of them, and then it would be 2 versus 1. This isn't always the case, and you will have to make split-second decisions on whether or not to engage the enemy while driving. Most of the time, it's a good idea if they're not actually hitting you, or if they haven't wounded your car too bad, to just keep driving. But remember, these guys are threats that can pose a problem later in the game to your first place win. So if you feel you have the upper hand, definitely stop, definitely be aggressive, and definitely take them out. Now I want to re-emphasize how important it is to find a place where you have a strategic advantage over the enemy. This means you have good cover and you're able to see the enemy coming before they see you, or at least see them from a distance. Now this is exactly what we did in this match. We drove the car to the edge of the map, and even ended up going a little too far. You know what, guys? Mistakes happen. Just roll with them and keep going. At this point, you should be pretty far into the game, so you want to play very defensively and hold down the position that you're at. The blue will continue to push in, so you want to move with the blue and continue to find strategic locations. Sometimes you will get stuck out in the open, sometimes you will only have a bush, sometimes you will only have a tree or a rock or a hill. You simply have to work with what you've got and play as defensively as possible, but be super aggressive when you need to. If somebody is preventing you from moving into the safe zone, your main priority is to take them out and continue moving into the safe zone and finding a good spot for cover and a good spot for defense. If you play too aggressive, you will end up getting killed by enemies that you don't even see. So my advice to you, play defensive, and when you do get into a gunfight, then switch to aggressive mode and do your best to take them out as quickly and efficiently as possible. And now you find yourself at the end of the game only facing 1 or 2 enemies. What do you do? In this situation, split-second decisions are key. Number 1, you want to make sure you have the safe zone advantage and that they have to come to you. Number 2, you want to make sure that you have good cover. Number 3, you need to make a decision whether you're going to attack or defend. If the enemy is in a position where they have the advantage on you, but they have to run towards you eventually, stay in your cover until they have to move towards you because the blue is going to push them. Now, in this situation you're about to see, we felt we had the upper hand because there was 2 of us and only 1 of them. So even though the blue would eventually push this guy toward us, we decided to move in, take him out, and get that chicken dinner. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that it helps you in your quest to get your first chicken dinner or your 100th chicken dinner. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave this video a like and subscribe for more content, and I will see you on the Battlegrounds.